Hey YouTube, welcome back to Military Money Mastering. I'm Dave. Let's go over lesson number 2 on episode number 3, holiday spending. Before we get started, let's take a minute to remember those who died on Pearl Harbor Day. Okay, so for today's lesson, what we're going to be going over, we're going to be determining what our budget should be. Now, whether you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or whatever it is, we're going to go over different budgets that we can set for ourselves on how to properly spend money during this time of year. Also, please note that just because it's the holiday season doesn't necessarily mean that our budget is just going to be for this time of year. This budget goes for all throughout the year, and we'll go over different holidays or different things that come up during the year that we can, budget for accordingly as well. Secondly, we'll be working on preparing a shopping guideline and how to track spending. So a lot of times, I know this happens to me a lot. I find a cool gift for somebody that I want to get, and I buy it, and then I see another cool thing. I'm like, okay, I'll buy this, and then I see another cool thing, and I want to buy that, and sometimes it gets out of hand. So we'll go over different ways that we can work on tuning that back. As a bonus for today's video, we'll go over traveling during the holidays or just traveling in general. I don't know about you guys, but being in the military, a lot of times you're not living close to home. So what do parents, what do family members expect? They expect you to come home for the holidays, right? Who doesn't want to be home for the holidays? They've even made movies about it. So we'll go over different ways that we can set budgeting, how to find good cheap plane tickets, different ways to find rental cars and whatnot. And that's something very important that a lot of people don't actually factor into their holiday budget. All right, so let's define what holiday spending actually is. So holiday spending, what most people think of is holidays around, November, December, when you want to buy gifts for people. Whether, like I said before, whether it's Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or Christmas or whatnot, people are buying gifts, right? So that's typically what we think about when we're talking about holiday gifts. But there's a lot of other holidays throughout the year. You have Super Bowl. Yes, it's a holiday to some people. 4th of July, Mother's, Father's Day, birthdays, anniversaries. It's all kinds of things that we can be setting budgets for that most people don't really think about. And it's something good that you can think about throughout the year, and you can actually increase the quantity or quality of the gifts that you give to people, while at the same time not really burdening yourself too much. So a couple things we can go over, think about last year. How much did you spend on Mother's or Father's Day? Do you have a mother or father? How much did you spend on them? How much did it take out of your budget when you did it? Were you stressed about getting a gift for them? Were you worried that you might not have enough money to do something afterwards? It's something you could think about. What about birthdays? Do you have a significant other? Do you have brothers, sisters, mom, dad again, grandma, grandpa, friends, other family that you didn't budget for their birthday, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, it's their birthday coming up. I got to get them a gift. Oh shoot, I totally forgot about it, and I don't have the money to do it. Maybe that's something you should budget for. What about 4th of July? A lot of people like to throw barbecues at 4th of July, Super Bowl, stuff like that. Did you do that? Maybe you did. Did you go over to somebody's house where you had to bring food? Like what if they wanted you to bring a bunch of pizzas or something? Well, pizzas aren't that expensive. Did you budget for it? Maybe, maybe not. Could the budget help you in the future? Probably. These are all events that can be planned and budgeted for. If you do it properly, it should be pretty easy, and you should be able to increase the quality and or quantity of your gifts or food if the barbecue's your bee's knees. Well, and that's something that a lot of people don't really think about. Hey, I need to set money away so that I can do this cool event later on in the year. Or hey, I need to set money away because I want to get a really cool gift for my brother or sister, this year. They've been really cool, and I want to do something nice for them. Something that you should think about. So going back to the the Christmas time or the other holidays, the average American spends about $800 just on Christmas. Um, that's quite a bit. And if you're not budgeting properly, like you get your paycheck around Christmas time and you're like, oh man, I got to get gifts for everybody, but I don't really have the money to get them what I want. Whose fault is that at the end? It's your own because you didn't plan for it. So, what's one thing we can do? We can plan for it. I have some software over here up on your main screen. It's something that we went over last week, but it's good budgeting software that we can use to help us, with that budget, with spending that $800 per Christmas, and it's not too much. Even in the military, we can definitely do it, and I promise you, I do it all the time. So a couple of things we need to think about when going over the budget. How many people am I getting gifts for? Do I have 10 brothers and sisters that I have to get gifts for? Do I have a huge family? Do I have a small family? Am I only getting gifts for my significant other? Am I just getting gifts for my mom and dad and, screw my brothers and sisters or whatnot? I mean, I could say that because I don't have any, but, you have to determine who you're actually getting gifts for. Sit down, write a list, and, determine who you're going to get gifts for. A big thing is, take whatever budget you want. I'm just throwing the 800 number out there. If you want to spend $800, put down $800 and then divide it by the people that you're getting gifts for. Who do you want to get gifts for? How much do you want to spend on your mom and dad? How much do you want to spend on your grandma and grandpa? How much do you want to spend on your aunt, uncles, and brothers and sisters and friends? That's something very important that my wife and I do every year. We sit down and we create a budget and we stick to the budget. We determine how much we're going to spend on each person and we stick to that budget. And it works out really well. Really, really well. Another thing that you can work into your budget is how much do you think they're spending on me? How many times have you gotten a gift and somebody has gotten you something way better than you got them, and you kind of feel bad about it? Or the other way around, you got somebody an awesome gift, and you're super stoked about it, and they got you socks. Don't get me wrong, I love my socks. Ask my wife, I'm always stoked about socks, but how many times does that happen? And it happens. So one thing that we can go over is, how to set your budget for the whole year. And it's super simple. Down here on your Excel spreadsheet, on the budgeting software, you have gifts. Holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, right? So it's something we went over last week, but this is something that you can set for the whole year. Like say, man, I really want to spend $800 around Christmas time because it seems like a good number and I want to get good gifts for everybody. How can I do that? Well, what's 12 months? What's 800 divided by 12? You figure that out. Okay, that's how much I'm going to spend. That's how much I'm going to save per month in order to get people awesome gifts for Christmas. Boom, super easy. How much is it? Talking $67 a month. Nothing. Super easy. Everybody can do that. If you don't have an extra $67 to spend per month, maybe there's some other things in your budget that you need to take out. And, that's totally fine. But it's a good idea to budget for the whole year. That way you're better set up for this time. Okay, so in the last video we talked about creating your own budget. And this is the part that we talked about where you save money every month for getting gifts. And it really helps you to determine what your spending is going to be per person. So if you're, one of those people that like to plan out their gifts, way in advance, like my wife does, thankfully, it helps me a lot. This is a good spot for it. You're like, okay, so I really want to get this cool new video game for my brother. Okay, so how much does the video game cost? $60. Okay, I need to budget $5 per month for the whole year in order to get that game for him that I know is coming out or it's already come out or something that he's going to really enjoy. Or, say that you want to get somebody, a cool new, set of Bluetooth headphones. Maybe they're $120. So you're like, okay, I want to get this person a cool new set of Bluetooth headphones. I'm going to save $10 per month. I'm going to get them some cool Bluetooth headphones for Christmas. Easy. Super easy, right? It only costs you $10 per month. So it's really not that hard. Another good thing about planning out these gifts in the future is that you can, shop for them. You can wait until the deals come out. One of the sites that I really like going to is slickdeals.net. On there, it's a community site, and people post really good deals and whatnot, and then you can read reviews of what people say the deals are. So, sometimes there'll be what you think is a deal, and somebody gets on there and they're like, no, it's cheaper over here. So that's a really good way to go and see where the best deals are. It's super awesome. Another good thing about planning out in the future is, you can shop Black Friday and Cyber Monday accordingly. Now, I know some people are pretty adamant about not shopping on Black Friday or Cyber Monday or Small Business Saturday or whatever it is, but they can be good tools for getting what you want within your budget or below your budget. I know a lot of people don't like getting up early the day after Thanksgiving or fighting with people in the stores or whatnot because, as everybody knows, it's become a madhouse over the last few years. It's something that can really help us out. So be wary of that. If you're around a Navy base or Army base or Air Force base or something that has a big exchange, those are always good places too. They usually have good deals, and online they have really good deals. Slick Deals also does a whole section on Black Friday, and they usually have deals up, somewhere around a month beforehand. So it's a good place to look. Excuse me. Also, please note that the good thing about Slick Deals is, like I said, some people will say that something's a good deal and it's really not. Maybe it's better somewhere else. Maybe somebody knows a better deal's coming up. So that's one of the really good things about Slick Deals that you can use on Black Friday too. I think this last year there was the big item was like Nintendo Switches, right, for $300. And I think somebody on Slick Deals said, oh, eBay selling it on Cyber Monday for $259. You could have saved like $50 right there. So that's a good way to go about it. Another thing is, track your spending, especially with this. It really helps you. So if you want to get that sweet new set of headphones, they're $120, and then they're down to, say $100. You have an extra $20 to spend on that person. Make sure that you don't go over that budget though. There's a reason why we set budgets, and don't go over the budget. Just stick to your budget. It works out really good, I promise. Another thing is, be aware of how much time you spend. If you're going out for Black Friday, cool, I get it. I love doing it. My wife does too. Well, my wife loves doing it more than I do, obviously, but how long does it actually take you to do all the shopping? Do you go to all the stores you want to and then just get right back home and you're only out for an hour, or does it take you all day? How much time and effort did it spend? Did you really save enough to make it worth it? Did you go out to eat when you were out? If I'm out with my wife on Black Friday, of course we're going to go out to eat. That factors into another cost. There's more money from the budget going out. So it's something to keep in mind. Is it really worth spending all that time to go out and do that? Another thing, that really comes into the budget too is not everybody needs gifts to be bought for them. I know over the last few years, my wife and I have actually made gifts for people. Moms, grandmas, grandpas, dads. People like that love when you make stuff for them. I know my grandma loves having, pictures of my wife and I and our dog, or things that we've made for her. They love that kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, it's a great gift, and it actually does a lot of times cost money, but maybe spend a little extra time to make something personal for somebody. That goes a mile, I promise you. Just make sure that you set a budget for the items that you're going to get, and make sure that you stick to that budget. It's super important. All right, so that's kind of going to wrap it up for the holidays, the holiday gift guide. But what I
wanted to go over, and the bonus was traveling for the holidays. So like military members, right? We're always traveling. Um, During the holidays, we'd like to go home. I know I do. I like to go home as much as possible, but how many times does it come down to like end of November, early December, and you're like, oh crap, I'm gonna go home for the holidays. I haven't bought plane tickets. Now that I bought plane tickets, I can't afford to get somebody a gift, and now I feel terrible because they got me something and I didn't get them something. It happens a lot. So what can we do to budget for that? Well, we have on our software over here, we have goal getter funds. So if you want to go on a vacation, like I said, this isn't just for the holiday, holiday time of years, but this isn't just for that time of year. This could be for any time of year. I want to go on a vacation. How do I budget for a vacation? Set it in your goal getter fund. Like how much money are you putting away per month? Okay. Something you can do is beforehand look up the flights. A really good app to use is called Hopper. I don't know if they have it on iPhone. I know they have it on Android, but you can go in there and you can set where you want to fly from, where you want to fly to, and it'll give you a pretty good idea of when the cheapest flights could be. Also, another good thing about planning out ahead, it's always cheaper to plan your flights out way in advance than it is last minute. So if you do want to go home, like I want to fly back to San Diego for Christmas, right? Is it better for me to buy 2 days before? Or is it better for me to buy 3 months before? Probably 3 months. Probably going to get a better deal. Also, another thing that I like to tell people is always look for first class deals. I've flown several times for first class for $15-20 more, which is worth it, in my opinion. You get free drinks, you get free food, you get more comfortable seats, a little bit more roomy. But keep that in mind. Always keep a lookout for that because you never know when it can happen. So that's another thing that we can factor into our budget. Where is it? I think there was a travel. Okay, so travel lodging, right? Traveling throughout the year. Here's a great place you can put it. Like this is what I want to put into my budget. This is how much I'm going to spend around that time of year. This is how much I've already planned out for. Okay. So, when you're going, if you're flying back home or you're flying somewhere, things you have to think about. Do you need a car rental? I mean, if you're going home, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I know I do. Um, my parents and my wife's parents live on opposite sides of the county, and San Diego County is huge. So, do we need to get a rental car because we're going to be going back and forth between the two? Yeah. I mean, will our family let us borrow a car? Probably. But it's a lot less of a burden for us to have a rental car, if that makes sense. Um, Make sure to take advantage of those early rental car reservations too. Wife and I went back home in September. We were able to rent it was supposed to be a Mercedes, but we ended up getting a Cadillac for the same price it would have been for a Camry. So keep that in mind too. If you plan out way out in the future, you can get nicer things. I promise. Um, Also, when you're flying, think about the gifts. Are you going to be mailing them to people? Are you buying them on Amazon, getting them primed? Are you uh, getting them sent to your house? Are you buying them and bringing them home and wrapping them and taking them with you? Are you mailing them out from your house? These are big things to think about. So if you want to take them with you and say you're flying home, a good thing about most of the air care or airfare companies is that you can bring your own bag. And the military usually gets free bags, and then you might get extra heavy bags, or you might get a couple extra bags. So keep that in mind too. You can always bring your gifts with you, and it really helps out um, with your budget. Um, Also, another thing is how long are you going for? Make sure to keep that in mind. Um, are you going for a week? Are you going for a couple days? Are you just going for a weekend? Are you going for a month? Just nice. Uh, that's a huge thing to take into your budget. So, especially if you're married, right? Say you're married and your spouse isn't in the military. Is he or she getting paid salary? Is he or she getting paid hourly? If he or she's gone from their job for a week, maybe they're not getting paid for that week. So you need to factor that into your costs for that week. That's a huge deal. And maybe you think, oh, we're okay, and then you come back and you have bills that are coming up, and you're like, oh, well, we're out like a whole week's worth of pay from my husband or wife or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, you know. So that's something else that we need to take into account. Um, Also, while you're gone, one of the biggest things is food. You're you're gone. You're on vacation. You don't usually don't have a kitchen to cook in. I mean, sometimes your parents will want to cook at home, and I know my wife's parents like to have dinner on Sundays, and they like to have dinner at home. But you know, are you going out for lunch? Are you going out for breakfast? Are you going out for dinner? Do you feel like just going out and getting a snack? Or are you getting desserts? Um, these are things that really, really add up. And while they might not seem like a lot, you know, if you're in town for a week and you go out to eat, you know, once, twice a day, that really adds up. And if you're not budgeting accordingly to it, that can really eat into your whole travel budget. Um, I promise you. And I know personally when I go home, there's dozens of places I want to go to. I want to go to Obi Noodle House. I want to go get, you know, an awesome California burrito. I want to go and get some Greek food because we don't have a lot of that stuff here. So this is stuff that I miss about home. And I'm sure everybody has places that they miss about home that they want to go eat at too. You know, it's the best thing. And, you know, make sure to set an extra budget for emergencies. I know we should have our savings, but you should have a buffer from savings for emergencies during special trips. Um, you know, there's been times where, you know, you're driving a rental car and something happens to rental car and you have to pay for it. Does that come out of your savings? Or, you know, if you'd have properly budgeted for it, it doesn't have to come out of your savings. What happens when you get back and you have all this extra money? Well, who wants to buy a cool gift for themselves? I know I do. Or who wants to invest it? I know I do. So that's something else. You know, it's just like keep a little buffer room. You know, just around the sides. You know, just in case something happens, something comes up. You know, say one night when you're out, you know, and your buddies want to go out, and you're like, okay, you know, I have some extra money, I can go do that. You know, no problem. So you go ahead and do that. And that's a really good way to have an extra budget. Have extra budget money so you can go out and do things like that. It's super convenient, I promise. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning into this video. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe down below if you would, and you know, share this with anybody who's in the military, think about joining the military, or who's gotten out of the military and, you know, is thinking about these kind of things, or even people who don't live close to home. This is really, really good, especially the travel part, right? And even if you're not in the military and you live, you know, away from home, this can help you out a lot. So, yeah, that's going to be about it for today. Thanks everybody so much for tuning in. Please share if you can. And I will I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing for next week, but I'll try posting something beforehand so that and give you guys a heads up to what we're going to be going over next week, and should be fun. Anyway, I'm Dave. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next week.